Humor in Minneapolis on Sunday, March 9th. One of America's top gay comedians. Don't miss out on this great night of sharp humor and big laughs. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and streaming live right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thegailyshow. This is The Gaily Show. Happy Monday, everyone. I'm your host, JP Derbrigosian. Joining me in studio, as always, is our executive producer, Jim Pounds. Hello.
Hi, all.
And in the control room today is Patrick. Hey, Patrick.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Well, what's on the show today? I have got a couple pairs of free tickets left to give away to Caleb Herron's So True live tour, which will be here in Minneapolis on Sunday, March 9th at the Fillmore in Minneapolis. So call in. First two callers gets the remainder of these tickets. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. And go. Call. All right. Andrew Frisbie from North Liberty Library returns to the show today. This time, we're going to talk about how experts assess nudity and adult themes in LGBTQ children's picture books. After that, I put my DEI tiara back on. I've served as a chief diversity officer in higher ed, and all these companies dropping DEI programs are setting themselves up for a backlash they don't see coming. We'll be opening up the phone lines for that conversation. Let's spill some tea about DEI. But first, let's welcome back Andrew Frisbie to the show. Andrew is the collection development librarian at North Liberty Library in Iowa. Hello, Andrew. Good to see you again.
Hello. Good to see you.
Yeah. So last summer, Andrew and Jenny Garner, the library director, were here to talk about book bans and libraries as spaces of connections. You can check out that episode from July 15th everywhere you stream your podcasts or on our website, am950radio.com. Andrew has been very gracious with his time. Because I reached out to him last week with questions about nudity and adult themes in children's picture books, specifically those by queer authors or about the LGBTQ community, because such a book was The Rainbow Parade by Emily Nielsen, was put on restriction at the Rochester Public Schools, meaning kids can check it out, but with adult supervision only. We're going to get into that discussion more tomorrow with the superintendent of Rochester Public Schools, who will join us. But overall, driving the decision was an illustration of a person from behind who is nude. And it got me thinking, like, what are the standards for nudity and adult themes? How do the experts actually assess this? So, I mean, just for context for folks, The Rainbow Parade was published by a major publishing house. It got starred reviews from the 4 major book reviewers. And yet now here we are with this book being listed on restriction. So let's dive into this. Andrew, I guess first thoughts about your reactions to my first email.
It was very heavy sigh and eye roll, I think, on my part, because there are so many picture books with occasional nudity in it, or in them, that it tends to be used for humorous effect, like. My immediate thought after I saw your email and then I went and grabbed our copy, I was like, oh my gosh, that image of nudity is so small in comparison to the rest of the book. There is another book, a picture book called Naked by Michael Ian Black. It's just a kid who doesn't want to put his clothes back on after bathing and just runs around the house naked. And every sentence in the book ends with the word naked. So even when you're doing it at story time, it's kind of fun to just emphasize naked in different ways. And kids get a kick out of it. Because it's funny. I mean, so, I look at this Rainbow Parade book, and I mean, even the context of the page was almost like to somewhat humorous punchline effect, like, oh, at the Rainbow Parade you're going to see everyone wearing everything, even this person wearing nothing, which that's the reality of most Pride events. You may see someone not wearing anything, and I mean, embracing that, I guess, is or illustrating that as, part of the full human experience, I think is important. So people aren't going and, oh my gosh, why is that person not wearing any clothes? Because they're proud of who they are. That's how they express themselves.
And it does come across as humorous, the way that it's set up.
You agree with that?
Yeah, when I read the page, I was like, I had a little giggle because I was like, haha.
Yeah.
The way that it was set up and the way that I saw the photo, I was like, okay, yeah, I to me that came across as humor. But I also want to get it, and I think you're clearly talking about that as well. As a collection development librarian, like how does that work though when you are looking for copies of books or you receive copies of books, when you're looking for something, like when does adult, I mean, how are these words, obviously I know how nudity is defined. I'm not quite sure how adult themes are defined per se, but when, if ever, do these get flagged as like inappropriate?
There's very little in my book that gets too much of a flag, like in terms of, oh, we can't place that in our collection. What may happen is it may shift where in the collection it goes. Not necessarily the nudity aspect, but I think sometimes even like picture book story level books may get to slightly more serious topics, like particularly like I'm thinking of like mental health and like even a parent goes to prison, but even my mom came out and my parents are getting divorced and I don't know what I don't know what I'm doing, and sometimes those books just so that because what happens, what's true for us is our picture books tend to go, once they're on the shelf, they go regardless, because people are just picking and they're throwing them in their bags and they're out the door. So sometimes when a title that we want to have maybe on hand for a family that is in a particular situation and is, that this sort of material would be beneficial to them, we put it in like nonfiction. So this is not done to hide it or to secret it away or put it in any sort of restriction. That aisle is still open to everyone. It's just, it doesn't look like a hurricane runs down it and everything gets checked out. So if there is a book about queer topics that, a family is wanting to, have for their shared discussion, okay, sometimes we will put it in in a nonfiction section, like a social science family, social science LGBTQIA, to have them together, but in a maybe less frequently used place. And I feel I've wandered off topic a little bit.
Well, no, because you're making an important distinction, but also it's not put on restriction. It's just
correct,
put in part of where students can still discover it and they can still go and find it. I mean, I'm thinking when you're saying that, like Children's Theater Company here in St. Paul is doing Milo Imagines the Universe, and that is about, right, a child going to see their parent who is incarcerated.
Yes,
and I know that book also gets on a lot of bans or restrictions because the parent is incarcerated and that's considered inappropriate for that age level. Yeah, Jimmy,
just for the record, Children's Theaters in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. Minneapolis, St. Paul. I apologize. Children's Theater Company. But it to me, and you mentioned in the email that there's a lot of that some objectionable material is hard to legally quote define. That sort of, I know it when I see it, ruse, I think was the word that you used in there, so that folks will sort of pluck something out from a book and say, well, that particular thing is nudity or it is inappropriate for children, so now we're going to either take it off the shelves completely or we're going to put it under restricted access. Can you talk more about that?
And I mean, even I feel sometimes the implication is that this lone, barely 1 inch tall illustration in this, giant picture book is representative of the entire text. Something is taken completely out of context and blown up. We have, I guess, librarianship as a whole has discovered recently-ish that there are certain offshoots of like Moms of Liberty groups that have started making their own very reputable looking book review websites.
Book looks.
Yes. And they like scan a full this page of, look how awful this book is, like this horrible graphic sexual depiction here, which was like, I think the example I saw was, it was like a girl like having a traumatic re-experience of her rape experience, and it's not emblematic of the entire book. Like it was this one paragraph taken very much out of context. But do our patrons, does the average citizen know that? Are they cognizant of the biases behind the individual websites? Oftentimes, I don't think they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have that situation here locally with Anoka, where a particular high school is referring out to Book Looks, which is sort of becoming notorious for being such a website, right, that you're describing, which kind of, for us in particular who covers, book bans, that's part of the coverage we like to do here on the Gaily Show. It's sort of like, are they trying to find ways around the book bans? And something that flagged this for me was how so often, historically speaking, any type of content from a queer author or about the queer community is immediately labeled as adult content, adult themes, being promiscuous, nudity, things that are inappropriate for children. But I mean, that's my experience. Do you find that as well as a collection development specialist?
We are fortunate that we're definitely in a blue bubble here. So we don't get a ton of pushback. Mm-hmm. But I operate very much on what would have helped me as a child myself. Like I just, because I was reflecting over kind of the past week of like mustering up the courage to go to the gay and lesbian studies aisle at Barnes & Noble. Like yeah.
Hold that thought. I've got to fit in a short break here. Don't forget, you can catch up with past conversations from The Gaily Show on our YouTube channel. In particular, I'm thinking of Dr. Cade Gepford last week talking about healthcare for trans youth. For now, short break. More with Andrew on the flip side of this break. At Queermunity, savor our seasonal menus from our chef, June Day, a James Beard Awards semifinalist. We feature locally sourced foods grown and produced by queer and BIPOC farmers. A full-service cafe offering your favorite cold brew coffees, hot teas, cider spritzes, and our very own house-made chai lattes. Start your day with our smoked bacon and egg breakfast sandwiches served on a biscuit with chipotle mayo and cheddar cheese. Vegan? Try our vegan sausage, egg, and cheese. For lunch, pair our seasonal salads and soups with a caprese panini served on Rose Street baguettes. Try one of our chickpea salad sandwiches, or enjoy the comfort of our grilled cheese with mouth-watering provolone, cheddar, and Gruyere melting on Rose Street breads. We serve sweet and savory pastries, and check out our new bar menu featuring local beer, wine, and custom double hard seltzers. Mention AM 950 at the cafe register for a free beverage with entree purchase. The Queermunity Cafe is open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. More info at queermunitymn.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Social media is shifting to the far right. X, formerly known as Twitter, has embraced MAGA under Elon Musk, while Meta, which is Facebook's parent company, dropped fact-checking and now openly allows users to label LGBTQ people as mentally ill, calling it political and religious discourse. But there's a better option. AM 950 has joined Blue Sky, the progressive social media platform. Keep up with the latest station news and programming by signing up for Blue Sky, then searching for AM 950 Radio and following us. Again, that's AM 950 Radio on Blue Sky.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Welcome back to The Gaily Show. I'm your host, JP D'Arbagosion. With us is Andrew Frisbie, who is the Collection Development Librarian at North Liberty Library. We're talking about assessing for nudity and adult themes in children's picture books. And Andrew, before the break, you were talking about your own personal experience of, I think it was at Barnes & Noble?
Yeah, just, when I was, a little baby gay and, I needed to figure out, I want to go read a queer book, being, petrified to go down that aisle because even the fiction was sequestered there in this, off in this little corner, that I was always sort of grossed out by it. It felt like going to the back room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately now, even publishers have pushed out so much stuff that the stores don't really have any option but to interfile them. So that's my goal and hope is that there would be something for every shade of queer person at every age level, and it not always being about, someone dying tragically at the end, that it, that it can be comedic, it can be fantastical, it can be sci-fi, it can be a mystery. That's my hope. And publishers have finally come around and are putting that stuff out. And now it's sort of up to us as librarians to get those into the appropriate hands. So yeah, that is sort of the goal that I work towards. And when we were discussing via email about the situation in Rochester, I decided to look at the ratio of queer books in our picture book collection versus anything that's Christian or that does include Christmas books. And this is just in the picture books. So Christian/Christmas books for our picture books, it's 3% of the collection. Our queer books in just the picture books is 0.5% of the collection. Wow. So it's such a small little segment that so much effort is getting channeled into fighting against, that I wish I had that level of energy to be righteously indignant.
Here, I know this is going to sound like a leading question, but walk me through your perspective of a parent who challenges a book or parents challenging a book that they are personally uncomfortable talking about the themes and subjects with their kids, then being able to tell everybody else in the community or at a school system that nobody else should be able to read that book because they are uncomfortable talking about it based off of whatever reasons, personal reasons, whether they are, homophobia or not. Like, walk me through that.
I guess so. Like how we would respond, I guess.
Well, I mean, from I guess first as just a librarian, yeah.
We a lot of times, and actually every experience when I've had someone complain about a piece of material that we have, oftentimes they just want to be heard and feel that they are being heard. So like, oh, I would like to discuss this book. If you can, like, you can usually tell when a person comes in if they're already kind of at a heightened, if they're at a 7, when most people come in at a 3. Like, oh, okay, and then they're clutching this book. It may get escalated quickly. So we try to get them into like a meeting room, someplace that doesn't have a super large audience. Or if our administrators are still here, get them pulled in kind of right from the beginning, just again, so that they feel that their complaint is being taken seriously and that we are listening to them. And usually by the time their rant is out, that they usually feel better. And then we sort of offer here is the form that we would have you fill out to challenge the book that we would send to the board. I would. It has been a minute, knock on wood, that we've had a super forceful challenge, and at this point, presuming that it would be probably for an under 18-year-old, which it most likely would be. We have done a diversity audit for everything, for basically from our picture book collection through our teen collection. So we go through monthly stating, this book has queer themes. This book has, Arabic characters, whatever it is, so that we have a good overview of how diverse, where our collection is diverse and how we would like it, where we could use some growth. And I would totally show those charts to the person complaining, saying, hey, do you see how tiny this section is of our collection? That this is there are 38 picture books about queer themes. And it's not for lack of trying. That's all that publishers has really put out. By and large, the venom tends to go out of people really quick. Just getting their frustration out, and feeling that they've been heard. Oftentimes,
no, I know.
I don't know where my thought was going there. So
no,
yes,
I understand what you're getting at, and we're coming up on time here. So I've got about a minute left, which is a huge question. But when you hear of a 10-person committee, 9 of whom recommend to keep the book on the shelves, and the administration overrides that,
that's it's saddening and frustrating. I guess why have the 10-person committee if the superintendent is just going to take unilateral action?
That says it completely. Why have the process if you're not going to respect it?
For sure. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah.
No, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time. You didn't have to do this, and I sort of dropped this on you, all these big questions, and I was like, come and talk on the show about it.
Yes, I love to do that.
No, please. I love talking with you, and I'm sure this is only the beginning of the conversation, so I'm sure that we're going to have you back. Visit northlibertylibrary.org to check out the library's excellent podcast, Love, Light, and Lit, Next Reads, and Story Walk. Andrew, thank you for being on the Gaily Show.
Thank you.
Visit our sponsors, folks, and advertisers in store or online to tell them you heard about them on The Gaily Show on AM 950 radio. Another quick break, and then we're going to talk about DEI. Get ready to call in. I want to hear your thoughts. See you soon, everybody.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. We'll expose and make sense of all of our current political nightmares and more every weeknight at 7 on AM 950.
Even though we're already into 2025, it's always the right time to support AM 950. The AM 950 2025 calendar is here, featuring photos I took around Minnesota and important progressive dates. Members who sign up for a recurring monthly $10 membership will receive a 2025 AM 950 calendar as a thank you. Make a recurring monthly $25 donation. You'll get the AM 950 calendar and a signed copy of Tom Hartman's latest book as a thank you. Hurry, though. The thank yous are running low. Go to am950radio.com for the details on the membership. Thank you so much for supporting AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Hey, it's Patrick. Your friends and family may be gone now, but the messes that were left behind on your carpets, rugs, upholstery, and more remain. That's why you need to call My Cleaning Heroes at Zero Res and get 2024 out of your house for good. That's why to start the new year, Zero Res is offering 24% off all cleaning services for the month of January. That's 24% off carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, any surface in your home, and don't forget about your air ducts. Call Zero Res right now at 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. But Zero Res isn't just good for cleaning up the post-holiday messes at home. They can make your business look great too. Zero Res was out at the station this fall, and we couldn't have been happier with their quality of work and their professionalism, and the station looks great. So don't wait. Book your home cleaning today. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Zero Res.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clearing skies this afternoon with a high of 38. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 23. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and streaming right now live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thegailyshow. You are here with us on The Gaily Show. I'm your host, JP Devragosian. Still with me in the studio, our executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hello, all.
And Patrick is in our control room. Hello, Patrick.
How's everybody doing today?
It's Monday. I had a good weekend. Did everybody else have a good weekend?
Fairly.
Fairly good?
Yeah,
all right.
Fairly
It
good.
was unmemorable.
Sometimes those are the best. Sometimes those are the best weekends. Our call-in number, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205, or you can chat with us on our YouTube live stream. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So folks listening at home, did you know that in my last job, I was one of the most dangerous men in America? Did you know that, Patrick? One of the most dangerous men in America is sitting behind this microphone right now.
I did not know that, but I can see it.
Yeah.
AM 950.
I
You
can,
can see it.
I can too.
So my former job was legally banned in not an insignificant number of states. It has now been banned from all federal agencies. And when I say banned, I mean legally banned, legally prohibited from having that job. Silicon Valley Bank, I don't know if y'all remember this bank, when it went under, that was my team. When Boeing started having safety issues on their planes, again, that was my team. Who collapsed the Baltimore Bridge? We did. The CrowdStrike chaos hitting the airline industry last summer, we were responsible for that too. The Los Angeles fires, totally us. Oh, and we even managed to keep the U.S. women's soccer team, football team, from winning the World Cup.
You are a wild bunch.
Most dangerous people in America.
Yeah.
Chief diversity officers. I mean, okay. So what was diversity, equity, and inclusion trying to do? Because I think right now there is this sort of snap reaction for progressives and liberals. Like, obviously, DEI is good, so let's just say that it's good. And, here we are. At its core, and I want to talk about that generally speaking, because there isn't a standard sort of body of work. Like if you went and got your degree, which you can actually do now, a graduate level degree in equity and inclusion, the courses are going to be different depending on the degree. It's not like nursing. It's not like, going to become a neurologist or anything like that, right? Like every program is going to structure it differently. And because of that, then you also find that the people, what's on their portfolios and their job descriptions are going to vary from college to college, business to business, et cetera. Like what I had when I was a first chief diversity officer at a community college in Minnesota, that job description was somewhat different when I was a second time as a chief diversity officer at a different community college. Lots of overlap. I was using the same body of research and work, but my responsibilities, my portfolios were different. And I think that contributes to people's sort of confusion about, well, what does a chief diversity officer do? What do equity and inclusion managers do, right?
Can I ask a sort of an outsider question? My sense of it is, you're an equalizer. In other words, if you accept that we're not on a level playing field in this world or in this country, that a chief diversity officer's goal is to try to level that playing field as much as possible so that people who have traditionally been disadvantaged for any one of a number of different reasons are now on the same equal plane with people that have always been over advantaged. Is that a good explanation from an outsider?
Well, I saw some really fun responses to Pete Hegseth nomination and confirmation last week to be the defense secretary, where folks were showing all of the qualifications that the previous secretary had. And it was like a not unsubstantial list of qualifications, right? And this is a black man who served as, Secretary of Defense. And now we have this guy who basically is the DUI candidate and, had a TV show on Fox.
And he did pay a woman who'd accused him of sexually assaulting her. So whatever that skill is, he has that skill too.
So diversity, equity, and inclusion really focuses on three main topic areas: people, production, and procurement. The people part of it is your having a workforce that is representative of your customer base. People is retention and promotion is tied to equity, right? It's kind of getting past this mirage of merit. When you see the same community getting the promotions all of the time, is that merit-based? Example, I served as an affirmative action officer in my last job. And I would go through all of the interview pools. And because we were a state agency, we had protected classes that we had to watch out for. And so when I saw a committee come back that didn't ask an interview for any of the candidates who had listed having a disability, that flagged for me. Now, there is no way the hiring committee would actually know this, unless somebody literally put down on their application materials that they lived with a disability. There's no way. And when I looked through these resumes, that was not happening, right? There was nothing in there that would flag to somebody, but somehow there was a phenomenon going on where when I would review these hiring pools for the protected classes to make sure that those interview pools were representative of the student population. Almost all the time, unanimously, the candidates who were either veterans or who said that they were living with a disability, which I was the only one that had that data. I was literally the only one who had that data. I would look at that and go, how are they all unanimously every single time not being included in these interviews?
That's a really important distinction, because I don't think most people who are critical of DEI think of veterans as an example of a group of people that are discriminated against, that you were trying to elevate veterans. I think that's not the angry words that people would throw at you. They would throw something out that you're trying to help somebody else. But actually, that's a class that often is not given an even break when it comes to trying to get a raise or get a new job or get a job in the first place.
Yeah, in Minnesota, there were 4 protected classes: the veteran status, disability status, gender identity status for cisgender women, and then it was based off of race ethnicity, right? Being a member of a marginalized community of color. They're all marginalized communities of color. So that's the people side of it, right? That we would be trying to create a workforce that is representative of our customer base, our student base, the folks that we're serving if we're, a public agency. That shouldn't be controversial. It shouldn't be controversial.
It shouldn't.
The next part of it is the production or the services, right? So it's increasing or developing products and services towards the heretofore ignored, marginalized communities in your larger geographic area, right? And so I think of the community college that I was working at. They created the country's first Somali area studies degree program, which included language courses and a history course. Nobody else had done that in the United States.
Right.
The college noticed they were having an uptick of Somali students, and they said, hey, maybe we should create a degree program that actually ties to the people that are coming here. That's what we're talking about, is the production services side of things, is identifying what can we do that is helping these marginalized populations. When I think of Family Tree Clinic, they were initially founded around women's health, and then they saw they had a lot of trans, genderqueer, non-binary patients coming in. And so they made a really structural decision to say, we are going to start to provide intentional, holistic, comprehensive care for our trans, gender nonconforming, and non-binary patients that we see coming in here more and more. We need to be able to provide that health care for them. This is equity work. Apparently the most dangerous work in America. The other part of it was around procurement.
Yes.
And that was, who are you buying your products for? Who are you buying the raw materials, basically, to run your business?
Right.
Who are you working with there? And I'm going to mention Target here, because Target is literally getting rid of their program, one of their programs that was part of their diversity, equity, and inclusion, which was trying to buy products from businesses owned by people from marginalized communities.
You mean small businesses?
Small businesses.
Community businesses?
Go figure.
Huh. Wow.
So all of that purchasing power that they had to support a local economy, they're now going, no, we're not going to do that anymore.
I remember when you were at St. Paul College and you would hold an event and you would get food from local businesses that people on the campus would say, we've never had stuff like this. We've never had this variety of great quality foods from all kinds of different places. It was a real enlightenment for the students. And that was to your credit that you went out of your way to include local, small, easily ignored, probably by the big organization companies, to your credit.
And that's what we're getting there, right? Procurement. But other part of that, though, actually, I want to back up back to the production and services, because I skipped over a very important point. If you've gone to college at any level, associates, pro community college, bachelor's degree programs, graduate level programs, you may at one point go in there and go, why do things run this way? Why are there deans? Why are there provosts? Why do we wear fancy clothes, robes at graduation? Why are the semesters 15 weeks long? Why are the courses only, 90 minutes or, at a time, or 2 hours at a time, and we split it out over a week? Why are there general education requirements? All of this stems from the origins of universities, which were created by anyway, in the United States of America, go back to European, very wealthy, very straight, cisgender, white men creating a school, a university for themselves, because they weren't letting in anybody else into these universities. We've just been tinkering with the model ever since. We've been tinkering. We expanded access through debt, right? So in the United States, mainly it really took off in the 80s, and definitely into the 90s and the aughts, where we said, we're going to expand access because it's really expensive to go to college. So we're just going to make debt available, and you can finance it that way. And now we have led to the $1 trillion of student loan debt, right? We saw the, increase in the creation of courses that are trying to be reflective of the student population, but the way they fit into things, general education requirements, major type requirements, all of this, dev ed, development of education. If you go to a college now, you know how you take the tests, or they look at your GPA and they say, this is where we're going to place you in your degree programs. Dev ed originally came from students not being prepared for college because they didn't know how to speak Latin. And they taught the courses in Latin. So all these rich dudes would show up, and if they didn't have a working knowledge of Latin where they could read and write in it to read these ancient texts, which were considered the height of knowledge at the time, that was where developmental education originally came from, the idea of it. And we have just taken it down all through, the hundreds of years ever since then.
I'm going to mention, just because in an advertising career, which is what I was in, diversity was, nobody questioned in the 70s what the people looked like on a commercial. And eventually, by the 80s or the 90s, the questions were coming up. Why does everybody look exactly the same? Especially in a city like Los Angeles, which is one of the most diverse places. It's like it became embarrassing that it took that long to wake up. I think if we'd had a good DEI effort, somebody would have shaken us by the shoulders and said, what are you doing? So I think we get lost in our own sort of small world, and we don't look around and we don't acknowledge what is everybody else can see. And that's what DEI is so valuable for.
Well, and there's a lot of data that shows that companies, organizations, public, nonprofit, whatever, if they are multicultural and they have a framework in place to harness the creativity and the richness that can come from that, then those firms make more money.
Sure.
But there's a backlash coming. What is it? I'll tell you after this break. Stay tuned. If you go to shoprainbowrd.com, you will find an amazing variety of adult novelties, literally thousands of items that you can peruse in the privacy of your home and have shipped to your door. Plus, in the store, you can find swimwear, casual wear, underwear, everywhere. Rainbow Road is located at 109 West Grand Street near Loring Park. Gift cards are available for the hard to shop for. Go to shoprainbowrd.com.
I love the Toyota Sienna Hybrid from Rudy Luther Toyota. Safe, roomy, comfortable, and insanely fuel efficient. One thing I haven't mentioned is how good the Sienna is at winter driving. We just had a snowstorm, and my Sienna handled the ice and snow no problem. From getting through the plow pile at the end of the driveway to safely navigating the snow-covered highways, the Sienna is designed to give you a comfortable, safe drive. When winter weather hits, I give myself extra time, but with Sienna's handling and heated seats, extra time is great. Test drive a Sienna today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for indoor winter activities. Cozy up with a book. They have all the bestsellers and new releases. Plus, their booksellers are great at making recommendations. Beyond books, enjoy mind-bending puzzles and family fun board games for those snowy days. And don't miss Next Chapter's in-store events, book clubs, author signings, and children's story time. So stay busy this winter with Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Spring and summer is the right time to install your fireplace. Find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert or check out the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. It will transform your inefficient fireplace into a reliable, environmentally smart heating system.
This is Peter Solak, owner of Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Have you ever watched your dog or cat curl up in front of a fire? It's primordial, the way it touches both the animal and the human. We know that fire reaches deep into the heart and soul. Let us show you how. We have over 35 working units on display here in Minneapolis. We are located at the east end of Riverside Avenue at 2901 East Franklin. From I-94, take the Riverside Avenue exit. Find us also online at woodlandstoves.com. Let us help you make a fireplace part of your life.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Welcome back to the Gaily Show. Hey, congratulations, Alex and Luke, for getting the last pairs of tickets to the Caleb Heron Show, which will be here on March 9th. I love being able to give away free tickets to stuff. Okay, so we were talking before the break about how I used to be one of the most dangerous men in America, what DEI was supposed to be doing, and how it works. And there are a list of companies that have doubled down on their DEI work, and they are Costco, Meijer, which actually surprised me, but Meijer, Kroger, Giant Groceries, Ben & Jerry's, Ulta, thank God I can still get my makeup products there, Macy's, Old Navy, Nordstrom's, TJ Maxx, Dollar Tree, also surprising, Walgreens, Auntie Anne's, Jamba, Cinnabon, McAllister's, Moe's Southwest Grill, a lot. That is great. There are also a number, Amazon, Meta, Target, that are going in the other direction. And here's the deal. Here's the backlash that I, as a former chief diversity officer, I'm seeing coming down the pipeline. This work was supposed to make these organizations better. This work was also meant to stop damage that these corporations were doing. If they're going to stop doing that work, why would we try again using equity and inclusion from within and instead use democratic power? I don't mean Democrats like the party, I mean democracy, to use the levers of government to regulate these businesses. Target and Walmart, we know it now, decimated rural local economies.
Well, Walmart particularly.
Yeah. Meta is able to get away with this because they gobbled up all the competition. Meta has Facebook, Meta has Instagram, they have Threads, and they have WhatsApp. That company should be busted wide open. And this is the thing. They think that they can get away with this. And actually, if you look at the history of it, they don't. The capitalists don't get away with it. They tank everything. When they run amok with capitalism, our robber barons, they think they can get away with it. They create a complete catastrophe. Democracy steps in. That was FDR's entire campaign. Was, all right, folks, if we don't do something now, capitalism is over in the United States. That was what he was trying to do. That's where those 100 days, and that's where we got the whole name from. The first 100 days was him, FDR and his team running in there. So I see backlash. They think that they're, ingratiating themselves to Trump and everything's going to be hunky-dory for the short term. And I bet there's a bunch of people at Target right now that are going, oh, who cares? We're not going to be at Pride this year. We remember. Yep. And democracy is coming. Democracy is coming, and there is going to be a backlash to this. We are going to remember what you're doing, Target. We are going to remember what you're doing, Meta and Amazon and Walmart. And why would we try to rely on our chief diversity officers again? Our chief diversity officers need to be running for office right now. Our chief diversity officers need to get on board with exercising real power in their state legislatures, in Congress, in agencies that regulate corporations. This is the backlash that we're going to see coming here. And frankly, it's overdue. CDOs, we did our work. Equity and inclusion managers, we did our work, always trying to build collaborations, always trying to bring people in, work with the coalition of the willing, work on smaller projects, build those up to tipping points, try other things. It was like sometimes pulling teeth. What I saw my colleagues doing at Target. Pulling teeth. But they were headed in the right direction until last summer, actually. That's when it started, when folks started getting really freaked out, where so-called people were, upset about the LGBTQ products, and Target started hiding the displays because they didn't, they called it a safety to their employees. They were worried about conservatives coming in there and harming their employees over LGBTQ displays. That was the red flag about Target, as opposed to saying, you know what, no, we're going to put security up here. And if any of y'all come in here and try to F around, you're going to find out. That's what Target's response should have been. Instead, they said, no, we're going to get rid of these pride displays. Right. We're going to remember that. Yep. CDOs, equity and inclusion managers, coordinators, start putting together your campaigns now. Because we tried working from within. We tried doing that. And we just found out that in a blink of an eye, they will readily run away from it whenever we get a fascist in office. And this work needs to be permanent work because it is equity. It is building our local communities. It's called inclusion for a reason. Nobody is losing out on this work, as we've seen study after study after study show. The colleges that have figured out equity and inclusion, they did not lose students. They did not see the employment or the enrollment declines that other colleges saw. Businesses that have equity figured out and the framework, they make more money. Proven time and time and time again.
Let's go to Costco after this.
Seriously, right? So, there's going to be, I think that there's going to be, I hope that there is work around, because there's areas that we can do around busting up monopolies. That's going to be a big thing here. I can see absolutely regulations for small businesses and being able to say, no, these major corporations, we're going to rethink how you're dealing with small businesses and purchasing power and procurement.
Well, I think the current powers are going to encourage big corporations to use very predatory practices to destroy small and mid-sized companies. You're going to see small business take it right on the chin from this administration, harming small businesses right and left. And it's going to be a bloodbath out there.
Yeah, I mean, it is. There's a lot. We've talked about this, Jim, you and I, about how there's going to be a lot that we can't stop right now, but we need to be ready. We need to be ready when our time comes back. Democracy makes a comeback in 2026, and we are going to stop this. And this time, it's going to be structural. Folks, the Matt McNeil Show is coming up next. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. Find us on Blue Sky at thegailyshow.org. Until then, see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Bye. If you go to Shop Rainbow